If you are a fan of a lot of explosions and also big balls, then I have the correct build for you. Archmage Ice Nova of Frostbolts is actually one of the craziest league starters that can also scale extremely well into the endgame. I'm having a blast playing this league. It is not only because the league mechanic is great, but also the build that I have chosen for my league starter is just annihilating everything. So first of all, I have to say thank you to Goratha and Ziz that are the experts when it comes to this build and actually made me try out this build as my league starter. The cool thing about this is you're not only scaling your offense while you're also scaling your defense, but you are also throwing as much currency as you want at a league starter, and it keeps scaling every time you get an upgrade. So you can take this from 1 to 100 very easily, and you're going to have a blast doing it. Now, the general idea of the build is that your Ice Nova is going to deal a lot of damage, but obviously you want to be ranged. And the idea here is to attach it to your Frostbolt that we do right here. So it would look like something like this, where you cast the Frostbolts and then do the Ice Novas. And also, of course, if you do the change here, for example, with greater multiple projectiles, it would look a little bit different. Also with returning projectiles, it would go a little bit different. But that's the general idea of the build. Obviously, if you don't play Kitava's Thirst, which we're going to go into what that is in a second, it would look something like this, where you have to cast your Frostbolts yourself and then activate your Ice Nova to actually cast them from the location of your Frostbolts. So you actually have a lot of options how to play this build. The first one is going to be the self-cast version, where you are casting the Frostbolts yourself and then holding down the right click to actually Ice Nova from their location while they are returning back to you. This is something that is actually pretty okay in my opinion when it comes to clear, because you are very fast. You teleport into a pack and then you Frostbolt and then instantly Ice Nova. But it feels very bad on bosses. The good thing is you can use stuff like a Mind Spiral, for example, which is going to give you quite a lot of extra defenses, and is also going to give you quite a lot of extra mana, which again is going to also scale your damage through the Archmage support itself, because it increases the damage based on your unreserved maximum mana, which is the whole quintessence of the build, basically. Now, the other idea is you could use an Arcanist brand in your Mind Spiral, for example, and then when you would, every time you would cast your Arcanist brand, it would be lying and waiting for something to attach to. Then it would attach to an enemy, and then it would auto cast the Frostbolts for you. So you only have to do your Arcanist brand maybe once per pack, and then hold down right click again and cast from the Frostbolts that are conjured by the Arcanist brand. This one feels awful in mapping because there is a delay between the brand attaching and the brand firing the Frostbolts. So you might actually end up teleporting into a pack, Arcanist branding, and then waiting for the Arcanist brand or the Frostbolts to actually come up to then be able to Ice Nova or Frostbolts. It takes ages and is awful during mapping due to the delay. But it has a crazy upside, namely the bossing is extremely good with the Arcanist brand setup, and the differences between the two versions are actually insane when it comes to that. Now, the third one is basically the end-all be-all for me, in my opinion, and that one is the version with Kitava's Thirst. Kitava's Thirst is going to cast the spells that are socketed in it whenever you are spending 100 mana, and we easily reach that with Ice Nova or Frostbolts because we have so much mana and we're using Archmage. So every time you spend 100 mana, there is a 50% chance that the stuff that is socketed in the Kitava's Thirst is being cast, and we obviously have the Frostbolts in there. So therefore you just teleport into a pack, or even from range you can do that too, and then you hold down right click. Ideally it procs on the first time with the first 50%, and then you literally just hold down right click to fill the screen, like you can see here, with Frostbolts and Ice Nova of Frostbolts. But it's unfortunately not all sunshine and rainbows with the Kitava's Thirst version, because you are actually losing out on DPS due to 15% reduced cast speed that are inherently on the Kitava's Thirst, and also you're not able to use the evasion mastery right here that requires all of your equipped helmets, body armors, gloves and boots to have evasion rating, and Kitava's Thirst does not come with this. You're not only losing these very easy to get 15% chance to spell suppress, but you are also having less EHP than with a Mind Spiral, for example, or just having a very good rare helmet in that case. For this build, you are going to level as Rolling Magma, and then you are going to change into Firestorm. As soon as you go into Firestorm, it's actually super easy to do all of the cool stuff and kill everything on the screen. Rolling Magma is pretty strong, but not really my cup of tea when it comes to hitting all of the enemies twice with the bounce. I have gotten, as I said before, the build or the idea for the build from Goratha and Zizaran, so thank you so much for that. The POBs and also their videos will be linked down in the description below, and I have gone and done a little bit of testing, and that's where all of these experiences come into play, which I just pack up and put in this video. So again, POBs and stuff all in the description, and you can find multiple stages here with all of the good stuff. Zizaran's and Goratha's right here, and I have my current Archmage loaded up right here, and I wanted to show you something that is currently creeping up in the meta, and we will have to see how this is going to be established in the Archmage Ice Nova of Frostbolt stuff. We might actually end up not playing Ice Nova of Frostbolts anymore, and we might actually go Ball Lightning of Orbiting, because that gets rid of the self-casting and applying problem that we had, and you literally can only just hold down right-click. Why would we do this though? And there is a very cool helmet that I actually also got in game already, and that's the Ravenous Passion. And as you can see right here, you gain 10 rage after spending a total of 200 mana, which is again super easy for our build, and then rage grants spell damage instead of attack damage. And this is going to look something like this, where you're just going to hold down your right click while also doing the Ice Nova of Frostbolts, and then you can again choose between self-casting this or using this on an Arcanist brand. And as you can see, our rage is up nearly all of the time because we are spending so much mana on this build. Now, what does rage do? And as you can see right here, we basically have rage all the time. If we go into the POB, there's actually quite a lot of cool stuff that you can do. We have the default setup right here, and my POB will also be linked down in the description below if you want to take a look at this. I have the default setup right here, and if I go to the rage setup that we have just seen, you can actually see my DPS increasing from 6 million on the default setup to 9.1 million on the rage setup. Here we are going to change the autocast setup to Arcanist brand to be a little bit better on bosses and take the L or the hit a little bit on the mapping. Just need to not instantly Frostblink into pegs or just kill them from range. Just again, Arcanist brand, wait until you see the balls and then hold down right click, or again circumvent that whole issue by playing Ball Lightning of Orbiting and also freeing up a lot of gems on the build itself. I'm going to be tinkering around with this live on stream right now, so if you're interested in that, I suggest you check out the Twitch. Again, it's going to be all linked down in the description below. And I have mentioned that we are scaling the offenses while we're also scaling the defenses. The offenses are being scaled through the Archmage support skill that we have linked to all of our damage stuff, which is going to increase or add lightning damage equal to our unreserved maximum mana. And therefore we are scaling a lot of maximum mana to make use of that additional damage granted by the more mana. It's a no-brainer to also play Mind over Matter for the defenses, because then you are also taking damage from your mana, and later on you are going to divide it up even more so with the Corrupted Soul, where 50% of non-chaos damage taken bypasses energy shield. So you are splitting your incoming damage in 3 multiple ways: towards your mana, towards your life, and also to your energy shield, which is actually really interesting to me when it comes to your defensive layering. I was also keen enough to try and fit a lightning coil onto my build, which is actually helping out quite a lot on the physical max hit side of the character build, and it's actually making me quite tanky. Right now, with the default setup, for example, I do have 37k fizz max hit, which is actually really, really good, and I'm really tanky because of splitting up the incoming damage over these different ways. And if you have any questions to the build or want to see me test out and try to fit the rage tag onto the build as best as possible, then I suggest you check out the Twitch link that is going to be linked down in the description below. And if you like content similar to this, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.